You know those days when you just know you're going to have a good session? You've got the right tides, the right time, the right weather, the right gear, the right attitude. Today's not one of those days. I didn't get up early. I don't have the right tides. The weather is looking decidedly dodgy, and overall my expectations are low. I'm hoping it's one of those days when you have low expectations, but you have a ripping day, and that's my only thing I can hang my hat on. Oh, that and the fact that there's a tide change due while I'm out. So sometimes you've just got to take the opportunities you're given. You can't have everything perfect. Today's one of those days. Let's see how it goes. Well, it's good to be back out on the water again. It's been a few weeks since I've had a kayak out. We've had some fairly heavy rainfall in my area, and a lot of the creeks are still in flood. I've decided to come out and test out one of my local estuaries in the salt, see perhaps if I can't pick up some flatties. I don't have high expectations, but sometimes they're the best sessions. So yeah, I'm just going to troll some hard bodies around until I get to some casting spots that I know, and then throw some soft plastics around. So pretty much flatties are the main target species. Be really great to get hold of a mixed bag, maybe some grunter. Caught some grunter in here in the past, and the holy grail for me in this system would be a dewy, which I've caught a few of, but would always like to catch another. Lots of fresh in the system. I'm not sure how that's going to work. Previously, when I've fished this system after a big fresh run, catfish have been a predominant species, and yeah, it'd be interesting to see if today matches that pattern. Other than the amount of debris that I can see already on the water's surface, which has likely been flushed out of all of the creeks and drains, etc., with all the rain we've had, today is a really big tide. Coinciding, of course, with the moon phase, but you take what you can get. See how you go. I've just seen some fish or bait busting up on this little sandbank that's to the left of this mangrove here. So I'm in about 3 meters of water. It's going to go up to around about 1 meter just to the left of that mangrove there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up before I go over it, and I'm going to have a few casts at that sandbank because it seems to be an area that's holding bait. And where there's bait, you hope that there's predators. Bait doesn't hope there's predators there. Fisherman hopes there's predators there. Yep, that's a fish. Didn't take long. No, yes. What is it? Maybe just a little flatty. There we go. First capture of the day. I launched the boat just over there. Launched the yak, I should say. Just over there. First little casting spot I've come to. Thrown on a Z-Man minnows, 3-inch. Put a little bit of S factor on him. And there we go. Nice easy release. Hopefully there's not water all over the lens. Despite my early success, it's been probably about a half an hour or so since I caught that little flatty not long after I started. I think that perhaps this natural coloured, light coloured plastic might be better off swapped for something that's a darker colour, given that how dirty the water is. I think that might be the direction that I'll head soon, is to see if I can find something in my tackle box that has a bit of a darker colour to create a silhouette, make it a bit more easily able to be seen by the fish that I am chasing. Amateur psychologist at work again, serving the fish community since 1975. So as you approach a new spot that you've just arrived at, it's always a good idea to take a moment and look at the conditions about what's going to affect how you fish, which way the wind's coming, how the tide's working. All of those things are going to have an effect over how you fish and how effectively you fish. I try to face myself into the current so that I can cast into it and then bring the lure back with the current. If the wind is working in the same direction as the current, that's fine. If the wind is working in the opposite direction of the current, that can make life very difficult. So you just have to think about how the wind and the motion of the water is going to affect both how your lure will act and also how your kayak will react, because you're dependent upon it. Wherever it goes, you go. So as you can see, I've changed to that darker soft plastic because of the colour of the water. I had a natural colour on and I didn't think that that was quite suitable, so I've gone to a darker one in the hope of creating that silhouette so that the fish can see it in that darker water from all of this rain that we've had. A fish. If I have to guess, I'd say a flatty. The water is so dark though with all of this runoff that it is very hard to tell. It's got a little bit of weight to it, nothing massive. Might just back that drag off a little bit, give it a chance to have a run if it wants to. Yeah, there he is. He's a good sized flatty. Definitely get the net for this one. Come on, little man. I'm out of practice. There he is. It's in the net. Probably water all over the lens, so I'm going to turn off and check that for you. Okay, so I've got my little flathead friend here in the kayak with me. Now it's time to try and get the hook out, get him out of the net and safely back on his way. You can see that hook shot is right through the top of his lips there. That's perfect. Didn't get much of a chance for this leader to get abraded, and so I had a good chance of landing him even with all of those sharp teeth that he's got there at the top. I'm going to get that lure out of him now. That's the Z-Man Diesels 4-inch. I really love that colour in stained water. It's been very good for me. Going to go the glove. Get a good, hopefully, get a good grip on his jaw. He's a very strong fish, and he came into the boat quite green. By green, I mean that he hadn't had much of a chance to fight, so he's got a lot of energy. Now, if I get his nose onto the 0 there, we can see that he's right over the edge at 63. So yeah, let's call him a 63 centimetre flathead, and he's a wee ripper. He'll probably jump off all by himself here. Yep, there he goes. See you, mate. Well, it's been less than an hour
since I hit the water, and I had, as I discussed, low expectations. That I've caught 2 fish already, and one of them was flatty over 60. That's probably done a good job of exceeding my expectations. Anything from here on is a bonus, and just enjoy the time being out on the water. Something else, I don't know what that is. Could be a flatty. Or it could be a catty, I don't know. Yeah, a flatty. He just was swimming with my lure in his mouth towards me as I was winding, and I couldn't really find contact with him until right at the last minute when he'd almost worked his way back under the kayak by himself. So now, he should be quite an easy release. You can see he's just hanging on by his lip there. So I'll just give him a bit of a jiggle around and off he goes. So I'm just checking my leader out after that fish, and not sure how well the camera picks it up, but just through here there's some scuffing. This is 15-pound fluorocarbon, so it's got a fair bit of resistance to breaking for abrasion, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to take just a little bit of time to take off a bit of that leader and retie my lure, just in case I do hook the fish of a lifetime. I'd hate to lose it because I was too lazy to cut off 5 centimeters of leader. Yep. Another little flatty, I'd say. I'd be guessing around about the 40s. He's dogging deep. Doesn't want to come up that last little bit to come and say hello, but not quite big enough to take off a bit of drag. So he too is going to come in fairly green. He might be a bit better fish than I originally gave him credit for. There we go. He's in the net too. 4 flatties for the day. Yay! Poet? Yeah, a little bit. There he is. Hello, Mr. Flathead. Once again, straight through the top of the jaw there. Brilliant. Whoa, 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 whoa. Yeah, I'm going to let you go. Just hold on for a second. I know. Let me get this hook out of you. And then we'll say goodbye to you. See you, mate. Doing the leader check again after that little fish. Good time to check the rigging of your plastic. Make sure everything's the way it's supposed to be. Today I'm using a bit of S factor, and I'm well, not a bit, I'm probably using a bit more than I normally would of a scent, and that's because of the colour of the water. I want to give myself every opportunity of the fish finding my lure out there, especially seeing as well it's high tide. The fish aren't congregated and compressed as much as what they are at low tide when I like to do my flatty fishing normally, so just trying to get everything to run in my favour as much as possible. Does the S factor or Procure or any of those scents make a big difference? I don't know. I do know that I feel that I catch more fish when I've got them on, and there's one now. Another flatty, I'd say. Just going up over a sandbank in about 2 meters of water when the channel beside me is about 4 meters, and they seem to be sitting on that sandbank. Not a record breaker, much like the last one. And there he goes. Nice safe release. I don't know, maybe you guys have extra high expectations when you go out fishing, but if I can go out and catch 5 flatties in the first 2 hours, I reckon that's pretty good going. Well, I reckon that'll take the prize for the smallest fish of the day. Not sure of exactly the species, but poor little fella. Off you go. Oh, he swam away. That's not a bad effort considering he just got harpooned. What's this all tangled up in fishing line over here? It's not the best thing to leave floating around in the environment if we can avoid it, so I'll see if I can't get some of it out of there so that no animals get tangled up in it or cause any issues. That's got it. 6, 7, about 8 meters of mono. Lovely. Pop him in there, put him in the bin later. Good deed for the day, done. So as I mentioned at the start, I didn't have high expectations for today. It started off really well. First couple of hours was pretty solid action. Some good fish in there too, and that built my hopes and expectations back up. And then nothing at all for another 3 hours. So I'm heading home now. As I said, low expectations to start with, so I've got to be happy with the result, and yeah. Thanks for coming along for the ride.